If you're a first-time home buyer and you're stuck between an FHA loan and a conventional loan, you're not alone. This is one of the most common questions I get, and it can honestly make or break how affordable your first home feels over the next few years. You might have heard things like FHA is easier to qualify for, but it's more expensive. And conventional is better, but you have PMI for the life of the loan. And that doesn't really help you decide anything, right? So in this video, I want to walk you through how I actually think about this with first-time buyers using simple rules of thumb and real lifestyle examples. So by the end, you can look at your own situation and say, okay, this path makes the most sense for me. My name is Ian Anderson with Fisherman Mortgage Services. I'm in the top 1% of loan officers in the country, which basically means I've walked a lot of people through this exact decision and seen how it plays out years down the road. So let's break this down in a way that actually feels usable. First, big idea. FHA is usually about flexibility today. Conventional is usually about efficiency over time. With an FHA loan, the guidelines are typically more forgiving if your credit history isn't perfect or if you've had some bumps in the past. And they often have lower rates if your credit score isn't perfect. Think about somebody that's had a couple late payments and they're finally getting their feet under them. FHA is often the way to go. The trade-off is upfront mortgage insurance. With FHA, you've got an upfront cost built into the loan, plus a monthly mortgage insurance premium. And that monthly piece usually sticks around for the entire life of the loan until you refinance out of it later. That money doesn't go towards your principal. It's the cost of the insurance that protects the lender. Now compare that to conventional. Conventional loans generally want to see a stronger overall profile. That usually means better credit scores, cleaner history, and a bit more strength in your overall numbers. In exchange for that, you usually have more flexibility on the mortgage insurance side. On a conventional loan, if you don't start with a big chunk of equity, you'll still have mortgage insurance. But the key difference is that on many conventional setups, that mortgage insurance can be removed once you've built up a solid equity cushion through a combination of paying down the loan and increasing home value. So if you picture your monthly payment a few years from now, conventional often has a clearer path to dropping that extra insurance cost and lowering your monthly obligation over the long haul. So how do you apply this to your life in a practical way? Well, here's a simple framework I use with first-time buyers. Step 1, be brutally honest about your credit and your recent history. If your credit's had some dings, maybe you've had late payments in the past or a couple years, or you're just rebuilding after some financial turbulence, FHA might be your more realistic doorway into home ownership right now. For example, I've seen plenty of buyers who think they're nowhere near ready because they had one rough season. But when we actually pull everything together, they're a solid fit for an FHA and can move forward sooner rather than they expected. On the flip side, if you've kept things pretty clean, or you don't have collections or a recent late payment, and your score is genuinely in a good range, conventional starts to look more appealing because you can often qualify and set yourself up for long-term costs when that mortgage insurance comes off. Step 2, think in timelines, not just what's easiest today. A lot of people only look at which loan gets me approved, and they stop there. I want you to ask a different question. What do I want this to look like 3 to 5 years from now? For instance, if you know you're going to be in this house for a while and your income is stable, a conventional loan where you can eventually remove mortgage insurance might leave you with more breathing room later as those costs drop off. On the other hand, maybe you're using this home as a starter. You plan to move up in a couple years and your main goal is just getting in the door safely and affordably right now. In that case, going with FHA now with a clear plan to either refinance into a conventional loan, once your credit and equity improve, or sell and move up later can still be a completely smart move. Step 3, run a side-by-side, not a guess. This is where most first-time buyers get stuck. Because it's one thing to talk concepts, another thing to look at actual numbers. You want to see, here's what an FHA scenario could look like for me with principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and FHA mortgage insurance. And here's what a conventional scenario could look like, including its mortgage insurance and the potential to drop it later. And then you ask, what am I actually comfortable with? For example, maybe FHA gives you a little bit more breathing room up front on qualification, and that's what lets you finally stop renting. But the conventional path could give you a more attractive payment a few years down the road when mortgage interest comes off. I never want you guessing at that. I want you seeing it on paper so you can choose with confidence. And that's exactly why I built a free guide for you called Something Very Simple. It walks you through FHA versus conventional in plain English. And it includes a framework to compare these options side by side, just for your own situation. It's easy to overcomplicate this, or honestly, to oversimplify it, and both can cost you. This guide breaks down the major differences, gives you questions to ask yourself about credit, cash, and helps you get clear on which path might fit you best right now. Knowing that, you could always adjust and refinance later as your situation improves. Calculating all this on your own is a headache, especially if you're trying to learn everything from random websites and social media posts. So that's why I put everything in one place for you. It's totally free, and it's linked right down in the description. So here's what I'd recommend. Grab the guide using the link in the description, and if you want help walking through your numbers, there's also a link on there to book a strategy call with our team at Fisherman Mortgage Services. We'll look at your credit, your budget, and your goals, and we'll map out an FHA versus conventional plan that actually fits your life instead of just forcing you into whatever pops up first. Don't let confusion about loan types be the thing that keeps you renting for another year. Click the link in the description to grab the guide or book a strategy call with our team. We're here to help you make a more confident, well-informed decision. And if you found this video useful, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.